Hello. In this very short video, I am giving a brief introduction to social constructionism. If you are a qualitative researcher interested in subjective life experiences and meaning making in the social world, this presentation is for you. I will come up with a detailed lecture on social constructionism in some other video. However, this short video will provide you quite basic but required information in this regard. Before talking about social constructionism, let us have few words about philosophical assumptions in qualitative research. Understanding a philosophical underpinning of qualitative research is not easy. But here I am giving you the information that can help you to go ahead. First is ontology. Ontology is a metaphysical concept that questions the nature of reality and its characteristics and its existence. You can say it is about what is there that is considered as reality, and it also includes the questions about the origin of the existence and the being. However, as a qualitative researcher, we are interested in social realities, and we assume that there are multiple realities that vary from person to person and from one context to another. Anyhow, this is also to remember that our ontological assumptions may impact and shape our research questions. Hence, it is very important to see what are our assumptions about the social world and how we are going to investigate those assumptions. Next is epistemology, and we will talk about epistemological assumption. This is about how we know about the social realities, such as through experience, through reasoning, our intuition, our observation, or the participation. For a qualitative researcher, particularly interested in social lives of the people, the realities are assumed to be constructed or co-constructed by the people. So, what people know and how they know will provide a subjective evidence that will be interpreted according to the epistemological position of the researcher. Well, in this slide, I am trying to provide you an overview of positivism, relativism, and constructionism. Positivism is about understanding reality as objective and measurable. Hence, for positivists, there are social laws and authority that governs the social world. However, positivism is a firm and rather strict and inflexible epistemological position that could not address the subjective life experiences, personal beliefs, and motivations that drive human beings. Relativism, on the other side, understands truth or reality as relative to some particular frame of reference. For example, language and culture. Culture is a frame of reference for language, otherwise language cannot give meanings. And then the constructionism. Constructionism is about subjectivity of the realities, because for a constructionist, realities are socially constructed. They are not absolute at all, and cultures are not static entities. They are dynamic and the realities are fluid. Before we talk about constructionism, let's have some words about knowledge. As a human living in a social constructional context, what is knowledge for us? Knowledge is something we believe, and it is also something that we practice. And it is also something that we believe as true. And it is again something that we are able to justify as true, even if it is poorly justified. Hence, the beliefs, belief practices, our truths, either they are believed or justified or poorly justified, they all contribute to knowledge. And yes, all these may be connected. For example, religious beliefs and religious belief practices may be connected, even though our belief practices may be somehow different than what is being believed. And similarly, some truths are true because we believe them as true, either without justification or rather poor justification. Overall, the nexus of all these is knowledge that is constructed and that is subjective and contextual. Now, social constructionism, that is also described as interpretivism or interactionism, it is clearly an anti-positivist position. We are interested in social meanings, social actions, interactions, and related phenomena and the process. Hence, the best way to gain knowledge is to dig up in depth using an inductive, or you can say bottom up or ground up approach. Here, to elaborate more about truth, I am quoting Sullivan, who says that the truth tends to be seen as something that we create and derive through social interactions and through actively trying to make sense of the world around us. Rather than it is something that is lying around out there waiting for the researcher to come along and somehow trip over. So, in nutshell, people give meaning to their realities while constructing them through social interactions, and we are required to dig up those constructed realities. Now, let's see how we can understand human interactions. First, we will see and describe what is happening, and that requires a thick description, having minutest details of what is happening there. And that is how you actually contextualize your findings during the research. Then, to understand how it is happening, we will ground the how in the thick description, and that you know the what part of your study. So you will ground how in what. And finally, we will situate what and how to answer why it is happening like that. This is complex and it is quite interconnected, but worth doing as a qualitative researcher. Because as a qualitative researcher, we are eager to understand the social world and subjective experience, and we believe that it must be grounded in the context where it is being constructed. Well, I use the word context in my presentations. Here I am giving a glimpse of context, and you can see that how our lives are contextualized through several concepts in social sciences. And for a good qualitative researcher, we should pay attention to these concepts while investigating human social lives. For example, cultural context that shapes the learned behavior of specific group of people. Economic context, that is a system of production and management of material wealth and activities in the society. Gender, that is located within the behavioral, cultural, and psychological aspects of being male or female in a social context. And then historical context, it is the timeline in which something takes place and influences people. And then physical or spatial context that reflects the space around something and how that influences. And then our political context, that is the environment in which something takes place, indicating power structure and agency. And finally, the social context, that is the environment of people encompassing social interactions and discursive practices. Well, I hope in this presentation I conveyed basic understanding of social constructionism, and this will be helpful to think philosophically while doing qualitative research. Anyhow, this was a very brief and small presentation. I will come up with a longer and detailed one in the future. Remember, the clarity of your philosophical approach is required to conduct qualitative research. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Be qualitative.